Imagine being 3 times richer than Jeff Bezos, or having so much power that the US government needs to create unique laws just to control your company. During the height of his career, John D. Rockefeller's wealth amounted to 1.5% of the United States' total economic output. That's about $280 billion today. The secret to his vast wealth was his company, Standard Oil. At its height, Standard Oil controlled 90% of the US refineries and pipelines. And this was during a time when the demand for oil was soaring. Typically, for these kinds of wealthy families, on average, around 10% of the family's wealth survives till the third generation. However, the Rockefeller family still remains one of the richest and most powerful in the world. And for the most part, their wealth was made legally. But legal doesn't always mean ethical. This is the story of John Rockefeller. A century before tech and financial giants ruled the world, there was one name that everyone associated with wealth and power, and that was John D. Rockefeller. John was born in 1839 in Richford, New York, and he was just an ordinary boy. The fact that he would become one of America's most influential people was unpredictable, because his father, William Avery Rockefeller, was not a great influence. You see, William was a con artist, and later he became a quack doctor, which meant that he sold homemade medicine that he concocted himself. But his real life was shrouded in mystery. He wanted to be successful, or at least give the appearance of success. You see, William paid great attention to his appearance, often dressing well to maintain an air of prosperity, and there were even rumors circulating that he was involved in a horse-stealing ring. So yeah, a pretty dubious character. So anyway, he moved his family frequently until 1857 when he settled in Cleveland, Ohio. John's father had bought them a comfortable house to live in. The city would become their permanent home and offer young John opportunities that he could never have found in the more established markets in the US East Coast. During his childhood, John D. Rockefeller grew up like any other country boy living a simple life. He would attend a district school for a few months each year, and the rest of the time he would spend working and playing in a country setting. He was bright, but unassuming. He would steadily do whatever tasks were set before him. He would chop wood, care for horses, tend the farm, raising chickens and turkeys. I mean, all in all, people never gave him a second look. Ever wonder how someone goes from a high school dropout to the richest person in modern history? Let's dive into the incredible story of John D. Rockefeller. At just 16, Rockefeller left high school and landed a job as an assistant bookkeeper. He was meticulous, hardworking, and obsessed with numbers. Every penny he earned, he saved. He even kept a detailed ledger of his personal finances from a young age, which he called Ledger A. This discipline was the foundation of his future empire. By 1859, at the age of 20, Rockefeller had saved up $1,000. But to start his own business, he needed more. He turned to the one person he knew he could get a loan from, his own father, a traveling salesman known as Devil Bill. With an additional $1,000 loan from his dad at 10% interest, Rockefeller partnered with Maurice Clark to create a produce commission firm. They were successful, but a new opportunity was bubbling up just beneath the surface. The American Civil War was raging, and the demand for oil, specifically kerosene for lamps, was exploding. Cleveland, with its strategic location near the oil fields of Pennsylvania and its access to railroads and waterways, became the epicenter of a new industrial boom. Rockefeller saw the future, and it was black gold. In 1863, he took a leap of faith and invested in his first oil refinery. The business was messy, volatile, and fiercely competitive. But Rockefeller thrived in the chaos. This is where his legendary cutthroat nature began to show. He clashed with his original partners, the Clark brothers, who were more cautious and didn't share his ambitious vision for expansion. The disagreement came to a head in 1865. Rockefeller, determined to take full control, forced an auction for the entire company. He coolly bid against Clark, buying him out for $72,500. He immediately formed a new partnership with a chemist named Samuel Andrews, who had innovative refining techniques, but the masterstroke was yet to come. Rockefeller soon brought in a brilliant new partner, Henry Flagler. Flagler was a genius at logistics and negotiation. Together, they formed a powerful alliance. They secured a massive investment from the wealthy industrialist Stephen Harkness. And by 1870, they incorporated a new entity that would change the world, the Standard Oil Company. This wasn't just a business. It was the beginning of a machine designed for total domination of the oil industry. Last time, we left John D. Rockefeller having saved up a small fortune from his early business ventures. But what came next would change the world forever. While everyone else was caught up in the frenzy of the oil rush, digging wells and hoping to strike it rich, Rockefeller saw the chaos for what it was, a gamble. He knew the real, stable money wasn't in drilling, but in refining the crude oil into kerosene, the fuel that was lighting up America. In 1870, he founded Standard Oil. From day one, his obsession was efficiency. He famously said, "I have ways of making money that you know nothing of." And he wasn't kidding. Every drop of oil, every byproduct was scrutinized. While other refineries were dumping waste, Rockefeller-esque chemists were busy figuring out how to turn that sludge into new products like lubricating oils, paraffin wax, and petroleum jelly. His relentless focus on cost saving meant he could produce kerosene cheaper than anyone else. He even tackled the problem of sour oil, a high-sulfur crude that most considered worthless because it smelled awful and corroded equipment. Rockefeller poured money into research and development, and his team eventually perfected a process to remove the sulfur, turning a massive liability into an exclusive, profitable asset. He was literally turning waste into gold. But genius and efficiency were only part of the story. Rockefeller was also absolutely ruthless. In 1872, he orchestrated what became known as the Cleveland Massacre. In just 6 weeks, he used a combination of secret, preferential deals with the railroads and sheer intimidation to force 22 of his 26 local competitors to sell out to him. He would show them his secret railroad rebate contracts, proving he could ship oil for so cheap they'd be driven out of business anyway. Most caved and sold. These railroad rebates were his secret weapon. He strong-armed the railroads into giving him massive discounts for his high-volume shipments, which in turn allowed him to undercut all his rivals. It was a vicious cycle that fed his growing monopoly. By the 1880s, Standard Oil controlled about 90% of the oil refining in the United States. He wasn't just a player in the game, he had become the game itself. But this level of dominance was bound to attract some unwanted attention. The public and the government were starting to notice, and the storm clouds of antitrust were gathering on the horizon. In 1911, the Supreme Court ruled that Standard Oil had violated the Sherman Antitrust Act. It led to the breakup of the company into 34 independent entities. Eventually, Rockefeller had to retire from daily operations at the age of 56, although he remained the figurehead as the president of the company. Now, ironically, this breakup was a blessing in disguise for Rockefeller. The intense pressure of running such a vast empire had taken a toll on his health. I mean, just picture a normal person in their mid-50s and then compare it to how people described Rockefeller at that time. In her exposé, journalist Ida Tarbell described Rockefeller as one of the saddest objects in the world. She noted how his alopecia had left him entirely hairless and pale. She could not help but remark that his physical change seemed to symbolize his perceived wrongdoings. Now, this is where I need to do some speculations. His ruthless way of managing his businesses, the way he put many people out of jobs, the way he brutally destroyed anything in his path to build his business, all of that played a role in his diminishing health. But I think this was also a turning point, because at this juncture, we notice a change in his mindset as well. You see, now he started to focus on something profoundly different, and that was charity. This shift marked the beginning of the Rockefeller Foundation, which would become the cornerstone of John D. Rockefeller's legacy. Established in 1913 by John D. Rockefeller and his family, this marked a transformative shift in his business empire to philanthropy. The foundation was built on a substantial endowment and focused on 3 main areas: public health, education, and scientific research. Rockefeller's commitment to public health was especially profound. His financial support helped establish the University of Chicago and the Rockefeller Institute of Medical Research. Both of these would go on to become pioneers in biomedical research. This funding also played a crucial part in developing vaccines for diseases such as meningitis and yellow fever. Additionally, he revolutionized medical training in the United States and founded China's first modern medical school. Now, growing up in the country's poorer parts, Rockefeller strongly championed for better public sanitation and health education. He established public health schools at Johns Hopkins University in 1918 and Harvard University in 1921. He also helped to launch nationwide campaigns and global health campaigns as well. You know, after building that massive Standard Oil empire, Rockefeller could have just sailed off into the sunset on a yacht made of solid gold. But instead, he turned his attention to something entirely different, fighting some of the world's nastiest diseases. I'm talking about things like hookworm, malaria, yellow fever, and typhus, scourges that were devastating entire communities. He didn't just throw pocket change at the problem. He established massive foundations and funded scientific research with a clear goal: find a permanent cure, not just a temporary fix. His strategy was to build institutions like the Rockefeller Institute for Medical Research that would outlive him and continue the work for generations. This wasn't just about charity, it was about strategic, large-scale problem-solving. This same mindset led to one of the greatest achievements of the 20th century, the Green Revolution. By funding agricultural research, Rockefeller's foundation helped develop high-yield crop varieties that literally saved an estimated 1 billion people from starvation. 1 billion lives. That's a legacy that's hard to wrap your head around. But let's talk numbers for a second. In 1912, Rockefeller's personal fortune was estimated at $900 million. By the time he passed away, he had given away most of it, leaving a comparatively smaller estate. So, what was his motive? Was it pure goodwill, a desire to genuinely help humanity? Or was it a calculated move to secure his legacy, polish his public image, and maybe even enjoy some tax benefits? The truth is probably somewhere in the middle. But the story doesn't end with him. The Rockefeller name is still synonymous with power and wealth today. His grandson, David Rockefeller, was a global banking titan, and the family's influence continues to echo through finance, politics, and philanthropy. And what about Standard Oil? Even after it was broken up, its descendant companies, think ExxonMobil, Chevron, remain some of the most powerful corporations on the planet. So, from fighting microscopic parasites to shaping global agriculture and finance, the Rockefeller legacy is a complex web of industry and altruism that continues to shape our world in ways we're still uncovering. You might think the Rockefeller story ends with the breakup of Standard Oil, but that was just the beginning. Today, you know their legacy through companies like ExxonMobil, Chevron, and BP. These giants are all descendants of that original monopoly. But here's the twist. In 2016, the Rockefeller family themselves made a shocking announcement. They decided to divest their family fund from all fossil fuel investments, including ExxonMobil. Why? They cited moral reasons, stating that there was no sensible rationale to continue exploring for new sources of hydrocarbons. Talk about a plot twist, right? The very family that built its empire on oil was now turning its back on it. So how does a family stay wealthy for over a century, even after stepping away from their original cash cow? They have a few secrets up their sleeves. First, they operate through a sophisticated family office, which manages their vast fortune, investments, and legal affairs. Second, they use legal structures like irrevocable trusts. These trusts lock away assets, protecting them from taxes and creditors for generations. Then there's the ingenious waterfall concept. They use massive life insurance policies, allowing wealth to cascade down to heirs, often tax-free, creating a perpetual financial waterfall. It's a masterclass in wealth preservation. But their influence isn't just financial, it's deeply embedded in the fabric of American politics. Since the 1950s, Rockefellers have held some of the highest offices in the land, including Vice President of the United States and governors of multiple states. Their political reach extends through strategic marriages into other powerful families, and of course, through the Rockefeller Foundation. While it does incredible philanthropic work, it also acts as a powerful instrument of soft power, shaping policy and global agendas in ways that align with their interests. From oil barons to political dynasties, their story is a fascinating look at how true power is built and maintained across generations. Thanks for watching Prime Narrative. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into the world's most powerful families.